All right, gang, we'll go ahead and start. For anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Lee Barber, I'm Regional Manager for Tri-State Region, Legacy Power. I did this presentation at the Notorious Retreat, so some of you might have heard it. I wanted to do it again just because we have some people that are, who's all in or been in sales for more than a week out in the phone room. Okay, so we have some people that, so what we try and focus on, a few things. One of the things that we try and focus on is the whole person paradigm. So what we look at with the whole person paradigm is mental, spiritual, physical, and financial aspects of a person's happiness. In almost anything in life that we do, a whole person paradigm is going to come into play. So we've done some sales training this week. Today's going to be kind of more of a personal training. These are things that you will find common denominators in almost all of successful people, how they interact with the world, how they deal with problems, how they deal with themselves, how they view themselves, how they view the world, how they act in tough times. The more successful you want to be, if you really just start to look and examine other successful people, you will start to see common denominators of success. So today we're going to talk about strength and authenticity. Before we do that, I want everybody just to grab their phone out real quick. And I want you to write down the number one most important thing in your life that you're grateful for. Number one. Just write it down. It's important when you physically type it out. So everybody got that? Now write the second most important thing down in your life. Does anybody want to share the number one most important thing in their life? What is it? Family. Who else was it? Cap, did you raise your hand?
My grandson.
Family. Who else?
My 3 sons.
Your 3 sons.
My spiritual life.
Your spiritual life. God.
Today.
Today, you're alive. Who else?
God.
Your daughter. The second most important thing. Friends. Who else? Health. Self. Raise your hand if money is on the first 1 or 2 things. It's on there? What number is it? It's number 2. Okay, we got to work on your spiritual game. What's number 1? Please say family. If number 1 says Nikes and number 2 says money, we're in trouble. Money, he's a young man. Money's important. Was number 1 family?
Yeah. No, number 1 was myself.
Yourself? And then money?
And then my niece.
Sorry, Mom. His mom's here, by the way. Sorry, Mom. Where does she rank? Any family? I love it. I love the honesty. What I'm saying is that for most of us in our lives, that money is a byproduct of other things that are important to us. And so when we look at a whole person paradigm, we have to look at how happy am I mentally? How happy am I spiritually? How happy am I physically? And then how happy am I financially? And generally when you're doing something, and so I just listened to a podcast the other day, it's called Today's the Day, hosted by Zaza Anderson. I shared it on one of our posts, but he had Jeff Mendez, one of the GOATs in the industry, and he said something that really struck home with me. I love when people change my paradigm in a few. Success can be defined by fulfillment, and fulfillment doesn't always mean money, and in most cases it rarely does. I know a lot of people that have a lot of financial success, but they're not fulfilled. They have a hole inside of them. They're unhappy, they're depressed, they have anxiety, they're angry at the world. There's so many other things that success can be defined by, but defining success by fulfillment to me was a key factor. Am I fulfilled in my marriage? Am I fulfilled in my parenting? Am I fulfilled in my friendships? Am I fulfilled in my knowledge? Am I gaining education? Do I feel spiritually fit? Am I giving? Am I honest? Do I have integrity? Do I live in principles? Can I lay my head down on the pillow at night? Do I feel like even though I go through tough times, I deal with them well? Can I look, and Aristotle said, happiness is defined in a human by when they look back, how did they react to life? Did hard times come and they reacted extremely poorly and continued to do so? Or did hard times come and life came because life comes and they can look back and say, I dealt with that the best that I could and I learned from it. I can be happy with the person that I've become. So Aristotle defines happiness in who I've become and am I happy with what I've done with myself? And then you can also turn that into fulfillment. Am I fulfilled with my life? So when we teach, we don't just teach on sales, because in my experience, sales is a transfer of energy. right? And if I have a positive good, when I look at the most successful people in the room, they're generally, in my experience, the most spiritually fit, the most mentally fit, right? Because what is life not? It's not fair. It's not easy. It's not kind. It's not gracious. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care how you feel. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen to you, and how you deal with it, whether you are a victim or you're proactive, is going to be 100% up to you. And I can tell you that when you empower yourself with, if I'm not the problem, there is no solution, way of thinking in life, that you go through hard times and use them as stepping stones to become a better person, literally. Growth comes from pain. Growth comes from life pain. So today we're going to talk about authenticity. The reason that authenticity is important, well, there's many reasons. If you're not living an authentic life, if you're not authentic with yourself, your friends, and your family, it's going to be hard to become successful in any way, to have fulfillment in your relationships, in your job, right? So I just want to kind of pose this question, and we'll go through and ask some questions. We'll ask a couple people. Somebody tell me what authenticity is that hasn't seen this deck before. Tell me what they think authenticity is. Real? Okay, anybody? Authenticity is real, being real. Genuine, vulnerable. What else? Honest. What else? True to yourself. Okay, so what if I said authenticity is vulnerability? Think about that for a minute. Think about being vulnerable. Okay, now somebody tell me what vulnerability is. It's a weakness. Yeah. Why? You're hitting on it. So you're saying vulnerability is a weakness because there's a fear attached to being vulnerable because you'll be judged?
Well, it's both a weakness
and a strength. Vulnerability is only, I would say, you have to be careful who you're vulnerable with, right? Be vulnerable with people who are vulnerable with you, with friends, people that you can trust. We don't want to have vulnerability with, the enemy, right? So we're talking in context of our real life circle here. Somebody else tell me what vulnerability is, in their opinion. What does it mean to be vulnerable?
Just open up about like what you actually are doing and
How hard is it?
super hard.
Hard, right? Honesty, okay? So what if I told you that vulnerability was strength? So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is invert your thinking, right? We kind of grow up and think in ways that if I tell you what I'm really thinking, it's like giving information to the enemy. Or if I tell you what I'm really thinking, you're going to judge me. But if I go back to authenticity, the best way to be truly authentic is to be vulnerable, to tell you how I really feel. Hey, that hurt my feelings. Hey, when you do that, that doesn't make me feel good. Hey, I'm scared right now. Hey, I have financial insecurity right now. Hey, that commitment sounds terrifying to me. Can you give me some advice on how to walk through that? Hey, I have all of them. Pain, I'm depressed, I don't feel good. Hey, I love you, and when you do that to me, it hurt. That's authenticity, and it's incredibly difficult. But, so where does this come from? There was a book called Daring Greatly, written by Brené Brown. If you haven't read it, I would suggest that you read it. Brené Brown poses in Daring Greatly that that vulnerability is the greatest strength and characteristic a human being can possess. Why? Because it's so hard. How much easier is it? I'm doing good. I'm fine. No, I'm good. It's good. It's all good. Thumbs up. I'm great. Yep. Car crash, transmission went out, just got divorced, my dog died. I just got fired from my job, and I'm checking into the homeless shelter. Good. Don't worry about me. I'm good. It's so much easier to just not be vulnerable, not to share how I feel, not to develop real, true friendships. The problem is it creates all these barriers for advice and love and the flow of information and energy. It stops us from talking to people that we need to talk to get the information that we need to help us grow. So being vulnerable has to be considered a strength. And in this context, I only want us to talk about vulnerability with people who can be trusted with our vulnerability. Somebody who's going to make fun of us or judge us or great, but we'll go into that. So can everybody check in for a moment to Brené Brown's theory of vulnerability, that vulnerability is strength. And if you view it as strength, because it's so hard to do, what I want you to do is invert your thinking, and when you're not being vulnerable, when you think, I just got to tough this one out, that's weakness. That's weakness. I need to be brave. I need to be strong. I need to tell people that I love how I really feel. I need to share who I really am. And that's the hard thing to do, okay? So let's read these. I want everybody to check in with these. Love, trust, loyalty, respect, empathy, innovation, creativity, inclusivity, crucial conversations, feedback, problem solving, decision making are all done better with authenticity and vulnerability. Think about that. Think about these words. These are power words, but these are almost all action words. These are words that take action. Loyalty is when loyalty is in question. That's loyalty. Loyalty is when you're married and some other person comes up to you at the gym and tries to talk to you and you don't talk to them. Loyalty is when somebody tries to recruit you from another company and you don't entertain the conversation because you're loyal. Loyalty is when your friend needs you and you go help your friend. Not in any other times. In all other times, you're just saying you're loyal. I have seen countless men and women say that they have love, say that they have trust, say that they have loyalty, and say that they have respect. And when the time came, they did not. These are action words. And so being vulnerable and having the power of everything that's on this screen. Why is being vulnerable important for having a crucial conversation? If you're my friend and I need to have a conversation with you that's deep, where two opinions vary, and I'm worried about what you're going to think or say, I have to be strong enough, because I love you and I care about you and I'm loyal to you and I respect you, to enact those words and come have the conversation. Hey, this is what's going on, man. I'm not vibing with or this or that. I feel this, that. Look, can we do this different? Enacting these traits are action words. And so being vulnerable in the moments of everything that's on this screen is imperative. And these are the things that give us a whole person paradigm that make us into successful people. Because when you can do these things successfully, you'll have successful relationships, you'll have successful friendships, you'll have a successful career, you'll have an inner calm because you know how you act in hard times with tough decisions. You do what's right. You can be authentic because you're strong, okay? So I just want everybody to think about that for a little bit. You keyed in on it. Why is it hard to be vulnerable? Dane. Ego. That's a good one. Why else? Fear? Fear of what?
Fear of acting.
What are they going to think?
That I'm weak.
Huh? What? What? Judgment. Right. Okay. Ta-da. It's the same thing. We all want to think we're so different. When it comes to human emotions, it doesn't matter where you live on this planet or how much money you make. If you are a human being, you feel human emotions, right? With a few people that may not. Well, and I don't mean that. I mean, if you have if there's some mental disorders and stuff where people, so sidebar on that. But for the mass majority of humans, we feel love. We feel, everybody on the planet that's a human knows what fair is. No matter where I live, there's a few tribes left in jungles. There is. You come into my tent, my little mud hut, and you steal my thing, you stole. That's not fair. That hurts my feelings. I don't trust you anymore. These are raw, basic human emotions. And so when we get to the root of, this is called reframing. So what I want you guys to start to do is reframe how you think about vulnerability, that it is true strength. And I have come, anybody that listens to my podcast or my trainings or knows me as a human being, I have stopped caring about judgment in almost all of my life. If you judge me for being vulnerable, shame on you. That's your problem. That's not my problem. I went to MW3 conference. I think we heard 4 or 5 billionaires speak. At least 10, 50 plus millionaires. Almost every single one of them wept on the stage when they spoke. Almost all of them. And they were it's just raw emotion, just pure people, just vulnerable at the ultimate level. And what that tells me is those are the people that I want to be like. I want to be successful. I want to be happy. I want to be vulnerable. I want to be honest. I want to be judged for who I really am. And if you are so negative that you have to judge me in a negative manner for being vulnerable, that's on you. And I would love for everybody in this room to get to that place, okay? Doesn't matter what they feel. I'm going to read this for you guys. This was written by a former president, okay? It is not the critic who counts, not the man that points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcomings. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. This is called The Man in the Arena. It was written by Theodore Roosevelt. Here, Daring Greatly is the name of Brené Brown's book. This is where she got it. What this means is that we have to come to a place in our lives where, and it's very difficult in today's age. Guys, if you guys know me, I'm pretty heavy on social media, right? I don't have 1 million followers or anything, but the amount of time I personally spend on social media is very small. Most people, I don't look at your bubbles. I don't look at your storyline. I don't have time for it. Social media it's advertising for me, right? The people that I love and the closest people, I want to see their families and stuff. But I don't care if you judge me for what I put out. I don't care if you judge me here. I don't care if you judge me anywhere. It doesn't matter. Your haters will never, ever be doing better than you. Period. Never. Everyone that I know that talks bad about anyone else is always doing worse than the person that they're talking bad about. Always. One of my mentors is Casey Baugh. I just can't imagine him getting in a conversation and talking to me negatively about somebody who is doing worse than him or better at all, because it doesn't matter. And so what this is talking about is the person in the arena. So I want you guys to think about, what does it mean to be the person in the arena? This is the man in the arena. This is the woman in the arena. Imagine this Spartan or this gladiator walking out into the arena of life. Maybe some lions are going to come out. Maybe some guys with some short swords. Maybe some guys with some spears. And these people have never even been in an arena. They've never knocked a door. They've never made a sales phone call. But they're sure happy to tell you how to fight the fight, and how bad you look with mud on your face, and what you look like because you lost. Think about it. The people who are outside the arena love talking about the people in the arena, but they've never been in the fight. And so what I want you guys to pay attention to when we're talking about authenticity and vulnerability is that you should be surrounded only by other men and women in the arena. Because if I'm not going to come to you for advice, I'm not going to take criticism from you either, under any circumstances. Your opinion has no meaning. If you can't teach me, you can't judge me. That's how my mind works. And so in our lives, what we're doing when we're trying to become better, and when we are become better, we're doing things outside of the norm. We're doing things that are very uncomfortable, whether it's reading, and I mean that, we can get busy and it can get hard to read. It can get difficult. It can be difficult to listen to books on tape, to do it all the time, to listen to podcasts and go to the gym and take your kids to school and cook dinner tonight and go to work and be spiritually fit and do, and. Doing more is always harder. The human brain always wants to do less. I want to chill out. When you're in a constant habit of trying to do more hard things or get better, you have to remember what people are always going to be doing is judging you from the arena and trying to pull you back down to their level. They are going to try and put their fear onto you as if you deserve it. And I want you to flip that thinking. And when that information is coming in, you just think, you're the one that's terrified, not me. You're the one that's scared, not me. You're the one that's in judgment, not me. I'm the one doing, the doer of deeds. I'm fighting the fight. I'm fighting the battle. I'm getting marred by battle. I have mud on my face. I'm in the pit. You're in the stands talking about how I'm fighting. Don't talk to me about fighting until you get in the pit and fight. And so I want you guys to remember this, because when it comes to vulnerability, if we back out of this and go back a couple of pages and we say, why aren't we vulnerable? Who's going to judge me? Who are you to judge me? Have I ever come to you for advice? Can you teach me how to do what I'm doing better? Then you don't get to judge me. I'm going to be vulnerable under all circumstances. And if you don't like it, tough shit. Go sit in your corner. Go sit over there and run your mouth. So I want you guys to remember this. Being vulnerable takes practice, and it takes effort, and it takes a concentrated focus, and it takes you to be brave, and it takes you to be cognitive of what you're doing. But I can tell you, the more authenticity and vulnerability that you have in your life, the better life you will live. I guarantee it. Because it's very empowering for me to know that simple thing. If I won't come to you for advice, I won't take your criticism. And by being vulnerable and being empowered, I have opened myself up to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations and human beings that have literally, physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially changed my life. It's powerful. I'm not looking to be in the arena. I don't want to be there with you. And if you're there, we're not friends. We're not. Because that's not where I'm sitting. I'm in the pit. And when I'm in the pit, I want to know how to fight better. So I'm talking to other fighters, other people in the pit. And when they tell me to do something, I do something because I know they do it better. So we talk about your circle of influence. Who are you around? What are they saying? What are they talking about? What are they doing? Who are they being? And if they're in the arena yapping, you need to get out of the arena and get in the fight. Because the majority of Americans, 1%, you're in the top 1% of Americans if you make $500,000 a year. It's astounding. And that can sound like a lot of money, but it's not. It's not. So to not be average, to be above average, you just need to do a little bit more. And in today's society, it's really easy to not be average just by doing a little more each day. So I want you guys to focus on vulnerability, focus on your sphere of influence, and focus on not only not taking advice from the stands, but make sure you're not sitting there. Because the people in the stands for 5 years and the person in the pit for 5 years are completely different people in 5 years with the compound effect of effort. It's life-changing. So make sure your circle of influence and your vulnerability is real, guys. The man or woman in the arena need not listen to those in the stands. Who are they to judge us? Make us feel meek, make us feel shame for our vulnerability and authenticity. What is the opinion worth of someone not in the arena? When they throw their doubt, their fear, their shame on you, do you need to catch it? This is a habit that we all have. We feel like I need to own your crap. You need to be aware of these things every day in your life, because everywhere you go, when you turn on the news, when you turn on the social media, when you're standing around normal people, what is normal people? People who are not fulfilled. The world is full. A lot of you in this very room may not feel fulfilled. Money is not fulfillment. If you are in a place in your life and you desire more and you are not going out to get it, that means you do not feel fulfilled. That's average. Above average is I don't feel fulfilled, I'm going to go change it. I had a guy on the podcast, Brian Thompson, works for us now, he's out in Florida. He was in Jamaica, lived in the ghettos, no running water. Came to America legally, started knocking doors, 5 years with Kirby. Now he's selling solar and alarms, creating generational wealth. He was in Jamaica in the ghetto with no running water. He didn't feel fulfilled. He made a way. He scratched his way to the top. He made it happen. That's fulfillment. And so we can be with these people taking on, you in fact have to make sure you're not one of these people. You have to check in, what are your judgments? What are you doing? Are you talking about the people who are doing more than you and not doing it? When it comes, I don't take it for my simple paradigm. And I'm going to say it again because I want to burn it in you guys' head. If you won't go to them for advice, do not take their criticism. Now, when I call somebody that I love and I trust, one of my mentors, somebody that I care about, and I say, this is what's going on. Sucks. And they say, do it. I do it. I put it right into action because there's somebody that I love and trust to tell me what to do. That's why I'm going. And if they criticize me, I stop everything I'm doing and I listen. Because I trust and I believe in them. Those are the things that I carry, because those are the things that are going to make me a better human. Because those are the people that are worth listening to. So when the judgments and the life and the world and all the stuff is coming at you from other people, it's your job not to get burdened by it. You have to deflect it. You have to drop it. You have to separate yourself from those people in those situations and that judgment and all of that. To be the person that you want to be. To be fulfilled, you have to be stronger and more fearless than other people. And I'll say it again. As soon as they start seeing you climbing out of that stand, they're going to try and pull you back in it. They're going to try and tell you, you can't do it. You're not good enough. Have you ever thought of 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, 12 things that are going to go wrong? Why it's not going to, you can't do it. That's not real, can't be successful. That's what they do. You have to realize that it's not your job to carry that, okay? So again, it's only us and ourselves in the arena with us. I want you guys to, I'm gonna talk about number one. Always examine your motives and be honest with yourself. So there's a book called Crucial Conversations by Joseph Grenny. And what Crucial Conversations goes into are a few things. One is a crucial conversation, meaning a conversation between two or more people where opinions differ. And there's a lot of feelings involved, right? And what they say is the time between a crucial conversation needing to happen and a crucial conversation actually happen, the time in between that can be devastating. But a few things happen to people. One is called the clever story. Okay, and a clever story happens in milliseconds in all of our minds. So the reason that I talked about emotions and humans is because this is our species. This is what we do. So what'll happen is I'm in a situation and something happens to me, and instantly I tell myself a clever little story. Oh, you did that because, okay, and I need to talk to you about that. Yeah, but if I talk to you about that, what you're gonna say is, yeah, and then I'll have to say, and then I'm gonna get mad. Oh, and I know how you're gonna react. Yeah, because that's what you always do. And so, yeah, I can't talk to you. Now I just don't like you anymore. Those are clever stories. That's what happens. We do this most prevalent in our most close interpersonal relationships. My wife will say something to me, and I'm like, oh, you're always picking on me, huh? Okay, I'm the victim. I didn't wipe the counter down good enough. I can't do anything right, huh? Okay, I just won't do anything. You're mean to me all the time. Every day you're mean to me. It happens that quick. Clever stories happen instantaneously in your mind. And so, just side note here, guys, this is why reading and education is so important when you're, especially in our field, because becoming better mentally and spiritually is imperative to becoming the best human being that I can be. And the way that I do that is I pull information in from outside resources so I can understand how this works. And once I understand how this works, I can see how that works, how you work. And then I can work better with you in an interpersonal relationship and grow my bandwidth. I need to know what's going on in my mind. And most of us don't even understand that we're operating just like a cell phone off a standard operating code. When it opens, it opens. When something happens, I react. I don't realize what's going on. So when we talk about always examining your motives, you have to be honest and vulnerable with yourself. What's really going on? What part did I have in this? What are my true motives? Oftentimes, we will want something and tell ourselves a clever little story so that we can justify bad behaviors that take us down a negative path. We'll look for other people doing certain things and have them co-sign our bullshit. Hey, you suck too, right? Do you suck? Can you just co-sign me sucking too real quick? Sign right there. Okay, I can suck too. I suck too, guys. I'm not being honest with myself. Honesty with myself, it doesn't matter if you suck. I'm not going to suck. And I would say, man, I'm looking to be lazy today because I see so-and-so being lazy, and I'm sitting here making excuses for my own self why I can be lazy. That's being honest with yourself. What's my real motive? I want to stay home today. Is staying home the most healthy thing that I can do? Probably not. Should I go to work today? Yes, I should. These are basic examples. I'm not hitting on any one thing, but if we start to look and examine ourselves, these are the things when we do, having somebody else co-sign our bullshit, telling ourselves clever little stories, looking for reasons why, things that justify our behaviors. Hey, I did this, and it was because of this, and this, instead of, hey, I did this. I probably shouldn't have done that. I just need to go and apologize for the way that I said it or this or that. Being honest and having integrity and vulnerability within your own self is a key component to reacting to the world and to people in a better way. Because if you can't be honest in here, you can't be honest out here. And the more honest you are in here, the more honest you are with your motives, the more honest you are. Do I have principles? Yes. Did I act with principles in that situation? No. Is it their fault? No. It's my fault. I need to go and fix that and act with principles and take accountability for what I'm doing. As opposed to, do I have principles? Yeah. Did I act with principles? Did I act without principles? Yeah. Because they did this and that and this and that. Nothing justifies you for walking outside of your principles. Covey says that the principles are the rocks beneath the lighthouse. 1,000,000 waves can break against the rocks, but the rocks don't break. Principles are like the rocks at the bottom of the lighthouse. There is no justification to break principles, but we will write stories for ourselves on why we broke our principles. Instead of admitting why we broke our principles, fixing that and not breaking our principles again. That's being honest with yourself. Seek knowledge and understanding of how your mind works. Who's read Crucial Conversations? Who's reading a book right now or listening to a podcast? Close. Okay. Whoever's not, did you raise your hand? No. We gotta get you on some podcasts. Do more. If you want to grow, if you want to be more, these are common denominators. I do not know personally, well, let me just start with this. Let me preface this. I personally know at least 20 millionaires, at least, minimum. None of the people that I know that are millionaires because of money. None of them. They're all millionaires because they learned to become better people. People who could do more. People who could do more business. And I've said this a lot, but some of you haven't heard this. If you want to make $1 million, don't seek money. Seek to become a person of value. When you become a person of value, people will pay you to be you. To be valuable, you have to have knowledge. To be more valuable, you have to have knowledge applied. The more knowledge you gain, the more you can apply, right? Let's talk about leadership. The definition of leadership is influence. The reason nobody hired me to be here, to stand here in this room. I learned my way here, and I took action to my way here. Constant effort of reading, growing, working out, training, spiritual, mind, family. Constant. I'm nonstop growing 1%. I don't need to be 100% better. But if you're not taking in content and trying to become a better person, you're going to fail at becoming fulfilled. Because part of true fulfillment is knowledge and understanding of how things work. And if you want to do more, if in your mind, I want everybody to be honest right now. We'll just do a little test here. Honest game. Who feels 100%, and I'll raise my hand too or not. Who feels 100% fulfilled with exactly where their life is right now? Okay? Let me rephrase the question. Who feels extremely grateful and loving and happy about their people and where their life is right now? They're two different things. Fulfillment and happiness are two different things. I never want to feel fulfilled, but I always want to be happy. My friend Doug Cartwright came down, and what he said was, as species, especially in America, I can't speak for everywhere, it's probably not as a species, but in America, what we want to do is we want to have, we want to get, and then we want to be happy, right? Meaning like, it's do, have, be. So I want to do some stuff, right? I'm going to do some stuff, and then I'm going to have some stuff. And as soon as I get that stuff, I'm going to be happy. And that's not how it works. That's not how it works. So he says, just take the be and put it first. Be happy. Be happy. And then go do some stuff. Yeah. And then have some stuff and be more happy with it. But it's this place of being internally content and happy, right? And so for me, that happiness relies around my principles. It relies about being honest, being caring, being loving, being grateful, being loyal, being respectful, being monogamous, being a good father, leading by example. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I go to bed on time. I go to the gym all the time. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of podcasts. Watch me do it. Just like I'm watching the people above me do it. I'm trying to live a principled life. That is fulfillment and happiness. And because I do those things, I don't have chaos. And because I don't have everything, my goals are different. My fulfillment is different. In a sense, I'm fulfilled, but I want more. I want to do more. And it doesn't have anything to do with money. But I am be. I'm happy. I'm be happy. And that's important. And so a lot of that comes from seeking and understanding knowledge. Because the better I've come to understand myself, the better I've interacted with the world, the better relationships that I've developed, the greater success that I've developed, the more influence that I've developed, right? Because when you look at me and when my people come to me with hard times, I can say, I've been there and I lived. You're going to live too. We're going to get through this together. This is how we do it. That's influence. I've been in the arena. You want to know how to fight? We'll train. Let's do it, right? that fight is a mental and spiritual game, and that comes from constantly seeking knowledge and betterment. I'm not, again, Casey Baugh is reading 52 books a year. I still don't know how he does it. I literally don't know how he does it. He reads a book a week. So very, very, very successful person. You watch him on social media, he's got an $8 million flying a golf course, doing this, starting restaurants, and I'm like, bro, you still read 52 books a year? It still boggles my mind. He's just got to be have a much higher IQ than me. He can read way faster, but it's important. So continuously seek to become the best version of yourself. Listen, Goggins says, if you're the same today as you were yesterday, you're worse. And I 100% subscribe to that. There's a lot of ego that happens when we're talking about better. I don't need to be like him. I don't need to change myself. Well, that's the exact opposite of how I think. I have people that I love and admire, and I want to be just like them. I do. I want to be nothing like I was yesterday. Not that I was bad yesterday, just that I wasn't good enough yesterday. I wasn't a good enough father yesterday. I wasn't a good enough husband yesterday. I wasn't a good enough team leader yesterday. I didn't have enough knowledge yesterday. I didn't have enough relationships yesterday. I didn't have enough philosophical thought yesterday. I didn't go through enough therapy yesterday. I didn't read everything. I just want to be more. So in a continuous effort to be the best version of myself, it's on my computer screen right there in the podcast room. I have constant reminders of why I need to be a better person. And I'm going to go back to the beginning. It doesn't have anything to do with money. The mental and spiritual happiness that comes from becoming a better person every day of my life is the most fulfilling thing I've ever encountered, ever. Ever. Who I am as a parent, who I am as a husband, who I am as a team leader, who I am as a friend, who I am internally. When I shut down and I'm thinking about who Lee is, I love myself, I respect myself, I care about myself, I value myself because I do things hard that are good. So I'm constantly seeking to be a better version. And that equals fulfillment. That's success. So all of these things you'll start to see are interwoven. And then this, help others to do the same. I think that for some of us, we share similarities. Let's talk about presents. I think everybody can agree. Think about a really cool present you got somebody. You were they're gonna love this present, whatever it was. Think about the last maybe it was Christmas, maybe it was a birthday, maybe it was a kid that you gave $100. Think about that feeling. It's selfless. It's, I know you're gonna love, and how do you feel? I like giving presents more than I like getting them. I give presents and I'm this is cool. It's I try and be really, oh yeah, I love this. Some things I do, but I feel so much more happy and excited when I'm giving somebody else a present that I really know that I'm the worst present giver. I don't think I've ever made Misty's birthday. Never. I always stitch myself off. I'm I have something right now in the toolbox. It's been hidden in there for a week. I can't last another day. I have to give it to you right now. It's my birthday's in 3 days. I can't wait anymore. I have to see the look on your face. You're not going to believe this. The build up to it. Think about that feeling. Well, that's also, it's more powerful when you're giving that to somebody spiritually. When you're helping them change their life. When you're teaching them to fish. When you help them change their life and then you watch them change their children's life. When they change their wife's life, when that person then teaches somebody else how to change their life, it's literally like a gift that it's just ripples of gifts, and you're whew, that's spiritually powerful. So in this effort, this isn't a self-centered effort to be the best Lee that Lee can be so he can be the smartest guy or the toughest guy or the strongest guy or the most educated or the best of this. It's an effort to be the best person that I can be because I've seen that the gift of giving these things that we have is so spiritually uplifting. And there's so much fulfillment in watching people's lights turn on. Where they were like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to work. I don't know. How do I make $100,000? I'm a busboy. Guys, I started off as a car washer. I was the guy on Serene and Eastern. When the cars would come out of the car wash, I would towel down the car. I didn't know either. But what I did was just like Brian Thompson did from Jamaica, is I found a way. And I believed in myself. And I made it happen. With a relentless desire to become a better human no matter what. No matter who was in the stands. No matter what they said. And over that time, I've gained an immense amount of vulnerability. And what did we say vulnerability was? Strength. I've become very powerful, spiritually and mentally, as a human being to influence other people, to be better people, to help them switch the light on. And I can tell you that that's a gift that just does not stop giving, okay? So we're going to wrap up. I want everybody to take a note that reads, okay? And it's Brené Brown. Read that book. Brené. She also just did a Netflix episode on, it was like a TED Talk. Or you can Google Brené Brown TED Talk. There's a few that she does. For me, when I read Daring Greatly 4 or 5 years ago, it literally changed my view of it. And that's one of my, I think, strengths, is that I'm able to see information or read information and capture the philosophical meaning of it or the logical meaning of it or the application and put it into practice immediately inside my mind. And when she said, vulnerability is the strongest characteristic a human can have, I got it. And I thought about it. I'm like, why? What's the next question? Why? Because it's hard. It's hard. The hardest, I'm very public with all my information. I did a podcast with my therapist. The hardest person in my life to be extraordinarily vulnerable with, who do you think it is? It's my wife. I'm really good with myself. The person I've been married to for 7 years, that I trust, ride or die. Trust more than trust. Because she can hurt me the most if she judges me. And she won't. She's shown for 7 years that she won't. But I still have to go through mental checkpoints to be vulnerable. I have to check in and say, has she ever heard? Should I ever heard you before? Do you want to say it? No, why do you want to say it? Because it's going to be embarrassing. What is she going to say? She will think about this. I'm just going to sit on that I'll sit on that for a week or two. And then she's like, and then I'm all pouting on the, so what's wrong with you? Nothing. You're mean to me, you're going to judge me, you're going to think bad things, and I can't be vulnerable, it's your fault. Because I told myself a clever little story. These things take practice. Continuous practice and continuous reminders. But I can tell you that over the 7 years, my marriage is tremendously successful. Tremendously successful. Because over the time, we've each gotten more vulnerable with each other. And the power of that is so self-evident to me, right? And so reading these things and increasing you, so if you guys have time, please, I would love for you all to read Daring Greatly. It's an empowering book. And to capture and think about vulnerability is strength. And what's your name?
Darren.
Darren, I want you guys to remember what Darren said. And this is what I want you to remember. He said, it's weakness because they're going to judge me. Get them out. Get them out. I'm going to be vulnerable. And if you're going to judge me, you're not going to be here. You're not going to be in here. You don't deserve me. That's not who I'm talking to. Beat it. So what I've learned is I'm just going to be vulnerable. Now you take action, and I'll watch what you do. And if you get to be here, it's because you acted right. You have principles. And if you don't, you just showed it. You got to leave. And that's in my life. I have family members that I don't talk to anymore because they're negative. So I want you guys to remember those lessons. He said it's weakness because they'll judge you. Get them out. Don't sit in the stands with them. Because if you're in the stands, you deserve it. If you're in the stands, you're going to hold it. If you're in the stands, you're going to take it. If you're in the stands, you're going to believe it. If you're in the stands, you're in the stands. Get out of the stands. Be brave. Be vulnerable. Be strong. Take advice from people. Take criticism from people you would go to for advice. So make sure that your circle is strong. Okay? Examine your motives. Take in content. Become the best version of yourself and help other people to do the same. There was a song. I get my information from weird places. A Dr. Dre song. But his producer starts, it's called All in a Day's Work. And I think it was Jimmy Levine. So Jimmy Levine was actually a really famous producer. Tom Petty, Dr. Dre, a multitude of platinum-selling artists. And he was giving a collegiate graduation speech, and that's the beginning. You can, if you just Google, it's somewhere, All in a Day's Work, Dr. Dre. The first part of it is Jimmy Levine's speech, and one of the things that he said is, he says there's two types of fear. There's the fear that stands in front of me and holds me back, and then there's the fear that stands in back of me and pushes me forward. So it's your paradigm of the same thing. We all have fear. We all have fear. The better way is to weaponize fear. I'm so scared of failure that I have to succeed. I'm so scared of not paying my bills that I have to succeed. I'm so scared of not being fulfilled that I have to succeed. And when you see people come from, when I was, growing up, I was homeless, drug addiction, have a very, very diverse, difficult background. It's very different from Brian's. Brian grew up in Jamaica. It's another country. The slums over there are completely different. But when you look at people who are coming from heavy diversity or any diversity, and that can just be the boots, like the cement boots of like average life. Just being that average, normal, nothing's changing, nothing's successful, 65 years old, leave your job that you were making $50,000 a year at, get some Social Security, pay a couple bills, not anything crazy. To me, that's scary. That's terrifying to me. It's terrifying to me. I don't want to be that. I know that I can do more. I know that and there's nothing wrong with it, but for anyone else, but for me there is. And it's so scary that it pushes me forward. So it's weaponizing fear. When I think, man, that is scary, I'm like, okay, let's go. Because that's where all of the good things in my life have come from. Fear, weight, pain, adversity, suffering, biting off more than I could chew, just figuring it out, being super hard, emotional wreckage, drama, damage, coming out the other side, figuring it out, living through it mentally, not collapsing under the weight of it, coming out the other side and going, I can do it. I can handle weight. I can handle life. I can handle more. When it happens to me, I do survive. And then the compound effect of that leads up to the man that I am today. So I want you guys to think about some of these things. And it starts with being vulnerable internally. Who are you? What do you want? And if you're writing excuses to not be the person you want to be, that's your problem. Stop doing it. Stop having excuses. Start doing hard things. Start putting fear behind you. Start creating mechanisms. Start putting people around you that are more successful. Stop sitting in the stands. Get into action. Put fear behind you. These are the common denominators of successful people, right? Have digital, physical, mental, spiritual mentors. Read more, do more, listen to more, act more, walk into fear more. Get therapy, go to meetings, have friends, be open, have conversations, grow. That's the key component here, guys, okay? Thanks, guys.